The text effects alpha will allow us to use an alpha to animate our characters or font on, and to use it, we drag it up onto a font within a scene tree. The text effects alpha characters is found within the built-ins folder, the container plugins, and the text effects folder. So when we do drag this onto our font, you can see that it makes the font disappear here. And we can come over into our text effects alpha properties to adjust this progress percentage to have it animate on. So if you wanted to set a keyframe here at 0 to start the animation and then progress this up to 100%, that's going to reveal whatever amount of text you have within your scene. So as we hit the keyframe here at 100, you can see that it added an animation. And when we advance our timeline here, you can see how it alphas on this font. Once you do have the animation on, you have other options over here in the right that you can change. So we have a progress type, which is set to absolute, and then a relative. And if it's set to relative, you may need to increase this progress percentage up higher than 100%. There's also a direction. It's set to normal by default, but we can change it to opposite, random, static, wave, center, or to center. If you change it to opposite, it then just goes the opposite way when you animate this text on. So now it will animate on from the right. And again, these drop downs here will help you determine which way you want it on. So if you just wanted to come on or off from the center point, you can do that as well. So you can choose the interpolation of the keyframe. There's a linear and a soft. So depending how much text you have animating on, it may or may not be something that you notice significantly. There's also an effect range here, and the effect range just means how far this animation is spread out. So you can adjust when one letter is fading on, for example, when to start the next letter, and that's what the effect range does. There's an ignore spaces, which is on by default. Ignore new line. So again, depending what type of text you have, you may want to ignore the spaces and or ignore another or a new line within this. You can select your text order as is. There's a horizontal and vertical selection as is. And there's also an option to affect a foreground, a background, or both. Since we just have text here, you don't need to worry about any other background. And by default, it's set to both. Now at the very bottom, you have an alpha begin, so you can adjust the begin percentage and the alpha end percentage as well. So if you only want it to start at 20% and end at 75% when you come in and rewind our timeline now, you can see that our alpha starts at 20% and we take it all the way to the end of the animation here, and it's about at 73%. So that's text effects alpha animation. If you need to alpha on your letters or your font, you can use this plugin to make it happen.